Hi, Jeremy here with Flatware Creations. Today we are doing a special order for Amber, and this is going to be one of our first Herkimer Diamonds since our show in Herkimer, New York. I started out with the idea in my head, I'm definitely wrapping it with a fork, and I thought I was going to go with this 4-prong small fork. It's only about the width of my finger, and it's a little bit wider than the stone, but the tines are pretty thick and not really bendable, and I really need to be able to do the wrapping around the stone, and I think this fork is just going to be too hard to make those clean curves that I want. Put that back in its drawer. So I found this really long tined fork. I'm not sure what it's used for. I haven't looked it up. And after having looked at this stone and the fork for about half an hour now, I think I have figured out what I want to do. So I went through a whole bunch of prototypes in my head of how I wanted it to look and what I think that the fork can do. And what I came up with is I put a little dot. It's right there, a little tiny dot. That's my up. So what I'm thinking is about putting the stone like this, and I'm going to put one of these tines, the middle tine, going up and then over, so it follows the flat edges, and then it's going to run down, and I'm hoping that I'm going to try and get that one to pinch it all the way down so it's closed. The goal for me here is to be able to fully capture this without using any glue. So the goal is no glue, full capture with this nice light little fork. The tines are really long. I've found a couple of these before. So the tines are 1 3/4 inches long from where they start by themselves. So 1 3/4 inches long. That gives us a lot of material to work with. And the way I'm setting the stone on here, where's my front? Okay. And I always put the dot on them on the top to make sure I get back to where I want. And this is the clearest that I could get it. If I turn it a little bit, you can see the inclusions and it's not very clear, but once I get it to that one side, you get a nice clear shot through the stone. And I'm thinking with the rest of this fork, I'm thinking I'm going to take the whole fork and I'm going to bend it over and make it come behind. That's the goal right now. That way I can use the whole fork and pattern, and it's really light. The whole thing is really light. So it's a something Rogers plated fork. And the handle, the design goes way up the handle. So if I was to cut it off here and do the round part, I don't know if it would look right. We might end up doing that, but we'll figure that out after we get the stone mostly wrapped. All I've done so far is take it and put it on my buffer to get most of the patina off. So what we're going to start now is I'm going to start wrapping it. I'm going to start with my first wrap with the center wrap, or the center tine, just to make sure that I can get to where I want it to go. So it's going to come up like this, and then it's going to cut back over, and then I want it to tuck either straight down to here or back underneath so that it captures the stone. And I'll be able to put the stone in and out sideways. So for this, I'm gonna need my small pliers, small round nose pliers, my big round nose pliers, these are snap ring pliers, and my flat pliers. All of this has had the corners sanded off so everything's smooth, and I think that's it. We'll go with that from now. So the design, the one tine comes over the top and captures it. I'm gonna run these two side ones, I'm gonna run them actually backwards and then have them coming up and around over the stone. And then I'm gonna cut them down the middle so that they line up flush against the center tine. And they're gonna work as the sidewalls to capture the stone. So we'll have the one coming up and over and the two coming to the side, so the stone has nowhere to go. That's the goal. We'll see how much of that actually gets done. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is get my stone on here. I'm gonna grab my marker here. It's a little Sharpie ultra fine tip. And let's bring you down here. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. I'm putting the stone right where I want it on the piece here. I want it right there. And remember that as you bend this, as you bend it up, it's going to get pushed that way a little bit. So always start it just a little bit lower than you want it. I'm going to take and mark this right where it touches the bottom. Let's zoom out. I'm going to put it right where it touches the bottom of this flat spot. So that's there. And now I'm going to bend it up a little bit. And I'm using my flat pliers just because it's so consistent and even. Just put a little bend in it. Need to come up just a little bit more. As I'm putting it on there, I'm watching to see how much of an angle I need to get it. Okay, so there's that. Now I'll mark it again. That's right where I want it to bend. So I've got my little mark on the back. This one here gets bent this way. Put our stone back in. So that needs to go straight up. Okay, so now we're even there. There's my top mark. This is gonna curve it over the top now. I don't know. Let's see if I can get you down here a little bit lower. Okay, so I've got my mark there. see if I can get you a little better view here. Okay. So put my little mark on the back side there. I'm going to grab that just above it, because remember, your bend is going to take part of that with it. So now we're kind of kinked this direction. We'll put our stone back in there. Everything we do is test fitting, test fitting, test fitting. Okay, that needs to come right down. Okay, so we've got a pretty drastic curve on it. Okay, so unfortunately, I went just a little too tall. Really slowly, I'm bringing this back. I want to go down just a touch more. There we go. And we'll see where we're at now. Okay, just a little bit less of an angle. Okay, so as we're going through all of this, it's all test fitting, test fitting, test fitting. And as I'm test fitting, I'm looking to see what's going on. So right now, the problem I'm facing is, do you see this gap right here? I want that gap to be closed. So that means I need to squish all of this out. So I'm going to take my pliers, my flat pliers, and go this way and make all that straight. And then I'm going to bend it over. And we'll go from there. Now if you look at the hole, it's a lot smaller. I need to go back just a touch. And always be careful when you're bending and you're going backwards, because that means that you've now gone forward with that bend, and because you went too far, now you need to go back the other way. And what will happen a lot is you're weakening, every bend that you make, you're weakening the piece. So this is right, so now I can come down with that. And as we're doing this, you'll see that your piece is getting tighter and tighter. Oops. Okay, so when I get down to here, I need to go just a little bit more with that. The angle is correct. I need to go just a little bit more there. And It's so much easier with the dot on there. You can find your piece, find your spot really well. All right. So now you can see our piece is captured in there. It's not gonna focus too well, but so now it's held in there. It's actually captured. It's flush across the top. It's pretty flush right in here, and I have a flush bottom connection. So now I need to take this one tine, and it is long enough. I'm going to be able to take it down and fold it that way. Let's put our mark. And I'm going to take and bend that right down. Again, test fitting our stone. The whole time it's just a ton of test fitting. Okay, so I got that one right. Can't quite see it. So I have another facet to go. I need to take this one right here. And that one's going to go way down. There we go. Okay. That should be our last bend with that. So sometimes you have to kind of lift up on your tines or whatever it is you're bending. Make sure everything's centered. I have just a little bit more to go in this gap here. Trying to make it so you guys can see. Just a little bit off right there. I love working with the stones because every single one is different. Every fork is different. Sometimes they bend the way you want, sometimes they don't. I'm pretty happy with that capture. It's nice and clean. It's irritating, it won't focus. So we have this captured. Now, here's what we have to do. Now we have to take and get these outside tines to come around this way. And looking at it, I've got all that. So I'm happy with this right here. So that centerpiece is right. I would like for these to come around. Let's see. So I'm looking at the back now, and I'm trying to see how I can get these guys to come back over and around. But at the same time, I want them to kind of look cool as they go up. If I take it out a little bit, so if I take it out this way and bring it up,